Okay guys, I would like to teach you how to write the equation of a line when you are given 2 points. So this is kind of the writing that you might see on MyMathLab. Find an equation for the line with the given properties, express the equation in slope-intercept form. A lot of students are misled when they read the instructions, express the equation in slope-intercept form. They immediately go into writing the slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, and that's not actually how you want to start these problems. You want to start these problems by writing your point slope form of an equation. So point slope form of an equation looks like this: y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And so how we typically use this equation is we need 1 point. So see, I have more than what I need. I have 2 points. And then 1 slope. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the 2 points to get the slope, and then I get my choice of which 2 points to use to put in place of the x coordinate and the y coordinate that this x1 and this y1 represent. So the first thing that I want to do to kind of set this up to where I don't have to do, all I have to do is like simplify, is I already know my x and y coordinates, so I'm not going to put that in place yet until I have the slope. So if you watched the other video I did on how to find slope, you'll remember that to find slope you just simply subtract your y's and put that in the numerator, subtract your x's, and you're going to put that in the denominator. So if I subtract my y's, I get 1 minus negative 2 over negative 5 minus negative 3. 1 minus negative 2 is the same thing as 1 plus 2, and the same thing as negative 5 plus 3. This gives me a positive 3. This gives me a negative 2. Okay, so my slope is a fraction. So now I'm ready to put this information into the problem, and it really does not matter which point I use. If you don't believe me, after I go over this problem, you can pause the video and try a different point and see if you get the same answer as me. You will, but if you need convincing, you are free to do that. Okay, so now I'm ready to put everything in. So I'm going to put in my y coordinate from the negative 5, 1 point. I'm just choosing to use this point. And like I said, you can pause the video after I go over this example and try this point if you prefer. Alright, so here's my formula. I'm just following my formula. So I have y minus y1 is going to be this number here, equals m is my slope. This x stays in there, minus x1. So see how my x1 is a negative 5, and remember, minus a negative is always going to result in a positive. So I'm going to go ahead, instead of putting the double negative, I'm just going to put the plus. Okay, now don't be put off that there's a fraction. I'll show you how to use your calculator to get this answer pretty quickly. So what I'm going to do, since they want it in slope-intercept form, that's actually telling me how they want it to end up. So that means y needs to, we need to get y by itself. So first thing we're going to do to accomplish that is distribute this negative 3 halves. So I'll get negative 3 halves times x. Now notice this 2 does not go into that 5. So you can either do this in your head, since the 2 doesn't go into 5. I would typically multiply this negative 3 by the 5 and put it over 2. But if you guys are intimidated by that, you can use your calculator. So what you'll do here is you'll hit the negative key, 3, the fraction key here, halves times 5 equals, see it gives me a mixed number. I want an improper fraction, so I'm going to hit my improper fraction key here. So I'm going to press second this, and I get, I don't know if you can see because of the glare, I get negative 15 halves. So my left side still says y minus 1. I want to get rid of that 1, so basically I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So what I might do is just go ahead and put that into my calculator while I still have my fraction up. So plus 1. Okay, so if I add 1 to both sides, y is going to be by itself. I'm going to have negative 3 halves x minus 13 halves. Okay, so that is that. All right, we're going to look at another example that says, basically we want to find the equation of a line when my x-intercept is 5 and y-intercept is negative 7. So that's the only information that they've given us so far. So, but I know if my x-intercept is 5, I know that that's basically the point 50. And if my y-intercept is negative 7, that's basically the point 0, negative 7. Okay, so I'm going to follow the same steps. I'm going to start by finding my slope. So I'm going to subtract my y's, negative 7 minus 0. I don't know why I just went in that order. Doesn't really matter which order you go in as long as you stay consistent. 0 minus 5. Either way, you're going to get 7/5 as your slope. Okay, so now what we want to do is go ahead and put that into our point slope form. And again, we could choose whichever we want to. I'm going to use this first point here. Okay, so I have y minus 0 equals 7/5 x minus 5. Alright, so I want to work on simplifying. So y minus 0 is of course y. 7/5 times x is 7/5 x. And we know that 7/5 times 5, the 5's would cancel, and I would have negative 7. Or you could use the calculator if you prefer. And there is my equation in slope-intercept form.